Hi, this is Diana with Metal Life.
Hi, Diana. It's Steve Wilder here. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, Steve. How about you?
I'm doing great. J.W. Cud told me to give you a call. I don't know if it's a good time or not. It is for me. If it's not, we can do it later.
No, this is good for me. Thanks for the call. It was kind of last minute. Sorry about that, but I'm glad we got it taken care of. I absolutely loved the movie. I loved everybody in it. It was fantastic. But Steve, why don't you tell our fan base about yourself? What was your character like in the movie?
Well, every good movie needs a good obstacle to get in the way of our hero's success, and I provide one of those obstacles. A couple of other great obstacles provided by my friend Billy McNamara, as well, who plays the mafia guy coming after the girl. I think basically this character is a good guy, and he's trying to do what he thinks is right for the patients and for everybody at the hospital. But sometimes that certainly gets in the way of individuality. It certainly does in our society, I think. When we start thinking that way. But I'm glad you enjoyed the movie. I love the movie too, and I just feel like it's one of those films that makes people feel happy about themselves. Not a real edgy piece, but it's the kind of film that everybody can enjoy. It's so strange. We've screened this movie in front of a bunch of different audiences, and one of the audiences, everybody seems to enjoy it a great deal, but it's like 20-something girls. It was a whole audience once of 20-something girls, and they all really enjoyed it. And I was surprised. I wouldn't think that would be the demographic. They were all crying at the end of the movie, and I just feel like that's something right there when you really don't think that demographic would connect with the movie, or you'd be surprised. You'd think that one would be the least. It shows that the movie has legs and has something for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. What is something, from your perspective and from your character's perspective, what's the most important aspect or ideal that you want the audience to walk away from after watching this movie?
Well, certainly, I think this is something that hopefully illustrates that all of us have something to contribute to each other, and I think that certainly veterans and certainly older veterans get looked over in our society today. So hopefully, we can take away from this movie that everybody has value, and not just value, but I mean some of the lessons that we have to learn. Certainly for me, the lessons that I've learned from the older people in my life, the much older people, those are the ones that stick the most. And even if I don't understand it at the time, I look back years later and go, oh, you know what? That's what they were trying to say. That's what they were trying to get across my thick-headed skull. I get it now. Thanks. They might be long gone. Give a nod,
Right, exactly. Well, how did you prepare for your character? I mean, because, the doctor wasn't necessarily a true bad guy, but we did enjoy, getting to see you get hit with the bedpan. So how did you prepare for this?
I had somebody come up to me last night after a screening and said boy, I've never wanted somebody smacked with a bedpan more, and this delivers perfectly. And thank you for giving me that person to want that to happen. From an acting point of view, there are no bad guys and there's nothing foreign. That's the way I try to look at things. So if you're given a part to play and it's whatever reprehensible villain, if you're playing Adolf Hitler or Jeffrey Dahmer, you have to say, okay, what drives this person and why do they think they're doing the right thing? Because very, very, very few people, even the worst people in history, I don't think Joseph Stalin thought he was doing the most evil thing. He thought, wow, this is a great thing to do. Let me kill all these people and it'll make it better for all these other people. So I tried to look at it. I tried to look at it like I was doing the best thing for everybody there. And when you try to come at something with a perspective like that, and you never, as an actor, think about your characters twirling their evil mustache and doing evil things,
right.
Hopefully you get some humanity infused into the thing, and the audience will connect with them, even if they only connect with them as much to go, God, I want this guy, I want this guy to get what's coming. But if you do it in such a way that you are actively participating and trying to get something from the other characters and do something to the story, hopefully it's enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of enjoyable, what was probably your most enjoyable moment or enjoyable time while filming this movie? What did you love about it so much?
Oh, it was all. I hate to cop out with an answer like that. It was all great. But it really was. I mean, actually, we had a lot of fun. Bo is a one. I always feel like, because I've directed things too, and I just feel like directing is not just about making shots and understanding what shots you need to compose in order to tell the story. It's really about problem solving. And I'm sure you've talked to Bo. I mean, Bo just had to solve massive, massive problems with this. And my part was something that should have been shot out in, a very short, it should have been like a day or two, and that's it. And I wound up flying back and forth to Texas a couple of times. We had problems with this. Well, I won't say we had problems with, but there were problems with some of his crew, and he had a first AD quit during the process. I mean, there were a lot of things that went on. But all throughout it was joyful. It was a joyous process, and even on those long nights when we're, most of those things that were shot in the day in my office there were actually shot at like 2 a.m. with lights, blasting into the window, making it look like it's a daytime. Even then, it was really enjoyable. It was a great bunch of people. Barry Corbin's a joyous, happy, terrific actor to work with. Jim McCrell had such zest and zeal for his for the character that he portrayed, Eagle Eye. Morgan Shepherd, the legend. I mean, every time, practically every old movie I turn on that's fantastic that I love, I go, God, that looks like Morgan Shepherd. Oh, that's Morgan Shepherd. Okay, And Richard really is just one of those guys that you can't help but love, and he's lovable in life. And doesn't Kate French look amazing in this thing? She's just, I was looking at the post. We were signing a bunch of posters last night at the Action on Film Festival, and we'll be at the Burbank Film Festival this coming weekend. And this poster is there with her face on. It just couldn't be a more lovely person.
Well, tell us about what it was like working with Bo.
Yeah, Bo's a terrific director. I mean, he knows what he wants, and he has a long history in film, both as an actor. He was in Gettysburg and a number of other films, and he's directed a handful of films too. He had a very clear understanding of what he wanted from everybody and how he wanted this film to be shot. Actually, there is, he got this film up and running 10 or 12 years ago, and the whole thing fell apart massively. No more than that, I think, like 14 years ago. It was early 2000s. With Charles Durham, and they shot for 2 weeks before they had a huge financial implosion and the whole thing ground to a halt. And the other day, I mean, I thought I knew everything about this movie because Bo's become a very close friend. And I was just sitting with him. He goes, "Oh, check this out," and up came this old footage with Charlie Durning shooting, playing the Eagle Eye role, and somebody else playing, and not Michael Massey playing the son, obviously somebody else. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing because, of course, it's always fun, I think, to watch something like that done by a different actor because it's the same lines, same everything, but it's a very completely different vibe. But what struck me was the shots and the setup were exactly the same. Bo knew exactly what he wanted, and the next film that Bo is doing, Goat Hill Road, which I'm actually a producer on, we're having storyboarded extensively because it's a very different movie. It's an action crime drama set in Texas. And it's a messy movie with a lot of dirty twists and turns, and it needed a lot of storyboarding in order to fully have everybody understand the action and what's going on. And he's getting a legendary storyboard artist, J. Todd Anderson, who did all the Coen Brothers films. But he hadn't storyboarded really The Last Man Club at all, and yet those shots were exactly the same. And that tells me that he wasn't just guessing about this. He knew what he wanted to get.
Right, absolutely. Well, Steve, looking through your bio and seeing all the movies that you've done, like The Nice Guys, and, gosh, Eggs from 70 Million Years. I mean, you've got a very diverse, portfolio going on. Yeah, and that even popped up. I was like, from 1995. But,
exactly.
Looking over your career, what advice would you give to up-and-coming actors, kind of like Blaze, that are trying to, get their foot in the door in the industry? What direction would you send them in?
Great question. I would say first and foremost to find an acting class that you love, with someone that you really want to follow the practices of. There's no right way or wrong way to do anything. There's just there's the way that speaks to you. So I would find someone that you love to study with and continue to study. Most all the really great actors that I've worked with continue to study. Even the ones that have the Oscar, you'll see them in working, and that's what it's about. So definitely continue to hone your craft. This sounds really cheesy, but love it. I mean, if you don't really, really, really love it, I get asked that before. I have people say, young actors say, do you think I should do this? And I say, you just answered the question. The answer is no. If you have to ask me if you should do it, you should do something else, because this business is so hard. It really is.
No, yeah, no.
So, but I can't. I mean, I've done a lot of things. I fly planes and helicopters, and I've worked as I've worked teaching skiing and doing all this stuff. I can't really see myself being really happy doing anything else. And if you feel that way too, it doesn't matter what I say. It just matters that you keep going. You stay in class. You stay honing your craft. You continue to explore other aspects of this. I mean, I've been writing now, and I've been fortunate enough to have a couple of things I've written moving forward into the production stages, and continue to look at this thing as a journey and as a process of storytelling, because as actors, that's what we do. We tell stories, but writers tell stories, directors tell stories, and continue, I think, to understand all aspects of this business, because there's one big, hopefully happy concoction of spreading storytelling and joy to other people.
And no, that is excellent advice. A lot of times you kind of start getting into the industry and you get very focused on this one aspect that you want to do or you want to excel at, and there's so much more to it. So no, that's great.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, so got one last question for you. Besides your upcoming project with Bo, do you have anything else going on?
Let's see. Well, I have there's 2 films that I've written that are moving forward. The thing I'm working right now as a writer is something called The Wild League, which is a big change. The last film I wrote is a film that is a heist film that takes place in a hurricane with a huge amount of action, and this film takes place in 1909 in Russia and juxtaposes the rise of soccer or football as a sport for everybody, which was actually a sport just for the elite at that time. And it sort of coincides with the precursor to the Russian Revolution at that time. So it's an exploration of how those two interrelate, and the story of based on a true story of the people that brought it about.
Wow. When do you begin, or is there any beginning shoot date, or are you still in the beginning processes?
That film, Nick Sarkisoff is directing that, and that film we're looking to get released to coincide with the World Cup in Russia in 2018, which sounds like we have a lot of time. And actually, it's actually like no time at all. So I'm actually doing some rewrites on the script right now, and it's but it's discouraging how long it takes to get something like this going, to get anything in this business going. But that's what we're up to.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely be watching out for it. Thank you so much for the interview, Steve. I really appreciate your time.
Great talking to you.
Yeah, take care.
You too. Bye now.
Bye-bye.